My name is Christian Groll. I am a Business Development Manager, ASD, for Central EMEA. ASD, as you can see, is LSI Accelerated Solutions Division, which has especially been founded for the new flash-based application acceleration technology. Please be a little bit patient with me, because for 3 weeks I'm with LSI now and with LSI ASD, and this is my first presentation. So if you have any deep technical questions, I'm afraid I won't be able to answer it right now, but I will write it down and I won't forget it. I will come back to you. Okay, who's LSI? I talked to some people today and everyone knew who's LSI, so I won't go into detail. I don't think that this is necessary. But just to give you a few keywords about what we're doing. Hello. That's great. If you want more people to come in, just close the door. Makes it more attractive. Okay. What is LSI doing today? LSI is in the market for about 35 years now, so we're not really a startup. We are providing solutions in the networking industry, mainly processors and different kinds of silicon, of processors, of ASICs that we customize for our customers. Server and storage products, we are well known for our HBAs, for our SAS controllers, for our RAID controllers. I think most of you know this kind of products. And we have a new product line now in the flash market, and that is the LSI Nitro product family, which is the product that we are going to talk about today. Yeah, LSI, just like most of the other IT vendors, really benefits from several developments in the industry and in the market right now. We're talking about, the social platform trend, and talking about social platforms, I know one company that completely depends on Facebook because they do 80% of their revenue with Facebook. And we are having the big data trend at the moment. Video data is heavily increasing. The cloud is a very interesting development. And this is driving our business at the moment. And I think we are uniquely positioned for these new trends in the IT market with our products and solutions. In the SAS area, we have always been one of the first vendors who were able to provide products as soon as T10 came up with a new SAS specification. And we have hundreds of patents all over the networking and storage industry. We have always been one of the innovators and technology leaders in this kind of technology in this area. What I would like to present you today is the LSI Nitro product family. What are we talking about? What is the Nitro architecture? This is a little bit of marketing, but it's true. We're talking about, we had 3 priorities developing this product. It was fast, smart, and easy. What do we mean with fast, smart, and easy? We got a very, very intelligent and fast SSD controller, and the SSD controller is the core of this kind of technology. It needs several functionalities and intelligent functionalities to compensate the issues that the flash technology includes. And the better, the more intelligent your controller is, the faster and the more reliable your flash storage is. And we will go into detail a little bit later. We got extremely high performance, industry-leading performance numbers at the moment. And we got the predictor software, which is something that I will explain a bit more in detail. Sorry, you're right. A bit more in detail later. Nitro Predictor is something that helps you to use only the capacity and the flash storage that you really need, and to configure exactly the kind of storage that helps you to increase the performance of your applications. And from a trusted partner means, as I said, we are not a startup. Don't get me wrong, nothing against startups. They're driving the technology, they're driving the market. But from a customer perspective, it might be a very good feeling to know that you purchase your technology from a vendor that will still be there in about 1 or 2 years, and there will still be support for the products, etc. And especially on the SSD markets, I mean, there are not so many really renowned vendors that offer SSD technology. And it's easy. Also something we will go into more detail later, but easy means, I mean, plug and play is a terrible phrase, but our SSD products can be installed, they are self-configuring, and there is absolutely zero administrative overhead. Okay, the first market for SSD really was the high-end market, or let's say the high-end requirements. There are customers in the market with extreme requirements in terms of performance, and they don't really care about the cost, because the alternative to an SSD technology would be an extreme effort in the conventional technology. I mean, if you need 300,000 IOPS, you have two alternatives to reach that. You can use SSD technology, or you can try to, you have 100% utilized cache in your servers. You have really huge high-end storage systems with thousands of disk drives. And compared to that, the SSD effort might be the easier way. So they were the early adopters, the first customers who purchased SSD technology at a time where it was extremely costly. And slowly the SSD technology is moving to the mid-market and to the let's say lower end markets. And this is the bigger market, of course. I mean, the lower the pricing gets, the bigger the market is. And this is something that we are providing at the moment. Our approach is, bring flash to the masses. Enterprise storage for everyone, as Nexenta says, is something that really also is our strategy. And to do that, you need a very intelligent technology, because the price of an SSD storage still is much higher than a disk pricing. Okay, this is quite impressive. I mean, if we see the data growth, I mean, I worked for EMC for several years, so data growth is something that has been stressed by EMC in nearly every presentation, obviously, because it's true. I mean, the data growth is enormous over the last years, and if we look at the IT spending, unfortunately, it's not the same kind of growth. I mean, there is a huge gap between the IT spending and the data growth, and to fill this gap, it takes intelligent technology. Talking about gaps, this is impressive. Within the last 15 years, we had an increase of CPU performance of times 345. And this is not impressive. It's the increase of the disk performance, and it's times 1.3. And this is a gap. And this I/O bottleneck needs a solution. And this is the reason why people think about flash. And the question is, today, looking at the let's say static IT budgets and the still high price of SSD technology, how can we offer SSD technology to customers that are not willing to pay millions of euros for a storage system? And we do that by host-based flash cache solution, and we will see that now. One last perspective regarding the gap. The main memory, the slowest, let's say, storage component of the server has we're talking about a response time of 100 nanoseconds. And the fastest storage system offers a response time of 10,000 nanosystems, 10 million, sorry. We're talking about a factor of times 100,000. That's the gap between the server and the storage. And to fill this gap, it takes SSD technology. There is no alternative. Okay, what kind of flash technology do we see in the market today? I mean, in general, the flash memory, I won't explain it in detail. I think you know what it is. And there are three kinds of technology. We have the SLC, the MLC, and the so-called eMLC. The SLC is very fast, and it has a long endurance, life endurance, respectively 100,000 program erase cycles. So it is reliable, it is fast, and it's very expensive. And then we got the MLC, which is mainly used in the consumer environment. If you purchase an SSD for your notebook, for example, usually it's based on MLC. And then we have the eMLC, and this is what we perceive as a very good compromise nowadays that can be used in the data center. We wouldn't use this kind of product in the data center because it doesn't have the level of reliability that you would expect if you put really important data in it. And if your really important applications are running on a server with that kind of flash, this is what you would never see from LSI. We use either SLC or eMLC. What kind of SSD products do you see in the data center today? There are three, let's say, typical approaches. The first one is we got the SSD flash drive for SAN storage. So you got a mid-range or a high-end storage system from EMC, IBM, HP, whoever. And you have an SSD enclosure and you can add SSD drives. That's very easy to implement. You get everything from one vendor, you just put in the drive and everything works very easily. And it's fast. I mean, it's much faster than an HDD. And then you got the SSD SAN storage subsystem, like, for example, from Nexenta or maybe from Violin Memory or Texas Memory Systems. This kind of storage subsystems are extremely fast, and they are extremely expensive. And there are still, of course, there are lots of customers who need this kind of system. But there are many, many customers who are looking for a less costly alternative. And this is the kind of technology that we are offering. And there are several other vendors on the market too, of course. It's PCIe flash storage. We're talking about PCIe-based SSD cards that you configure in your server. It's very fast, it's very easy, it's very flexible. You can configure it right in the way that you need. Of course, there's also a disadvantage. There's no shared storage. And it does not fit in every environment. But we will see the advantages of this kind of technology in a few minutes, and you can use it for many, many occasions and applications. Technology comparison between the regular approach, you just put an SSD disk in your storage system versus you're using a PCI Express card. The PCI Express card, the SSD storage is very fast, 60,000 IOs per second compared to, let's say, 300 IOs per second of a 50K SAS drive. But compared to 200,000 IOs per second, and we are even able to provide more than that, it is not so fast. So the issue is the technology of the storage subsystem, because it's not made for SSDs, it's made for HDDs. And another issue is that, if you use 5, 6 SSDs in one storage subsystem, it is possible that you completely utilize the controller of your subsystem, because it's not made for this kind of storage. And talking about the price per gigabyte, the SSD is also the SSD in the subsystem is lower pricing than the PCIe flash adapter. But what we do not see here is a chart, and I will add this to this presentation next time, that gives you the price per I/O. Because if you're talking about SSD, a very important parameter is the price per I/O. And the price per I/O of a PCIe flash adapter is very low. It's much lower than the SSD pricing. Flash writes. It takes several intelligent functionalities on the SSD controller to make sure that you have have the durability and the steady performance that you really need for your applications. And our SandForce SSD controller, we acquired SandForce, I think, by the end of 2011. SandForce was the startup of the year in USA in 2010. And there is no other company who were able to sell their technology to huge IT vendors within such a short time frame. Still, there are several SSD vendors using our Sandforce SSD controller because it's just the best on the market. And what are we doing with our Sandforce technology? Several keywords like garbage collection or over-provisioning, etc. You will also see from other vendors. But it's not the question if you do it; it's the question how you do it. And the secret is always the intelligent algorithm. That's a part of the controller intelligence. And this is industry leading, what Sandforce is offering in that respect. So we have the over-provisioning, which means if you purchase, let's say, a 400 gig SSD, it's always more than 400 gig. With LSI, usually it's between 20 and 30% over-provisioning, which means you have, let's say, 480 gig on the card. And the spare capacity is used to make sure that you can always write down immediately. Because a typical issue of the SSD is that you cannot just rewrite a block. First you have to completely erase it and then you can write. And that takes time. So, I mean, the more data is on the SSD, the higher the utilization gets of the SSD, the lower gets the writing performance. That's an issue. And to compensate this issue, we have, for example, the over-provisioning technology. So we use the spare capacity to make sure that there are always blocks that are ready to write. The garbage collection. If a block is only partially used, we combine several blocks to one, and then we have 3 blocks. This is always done in the background, and this is done by the controller, by the CPUs on the controller. We don't need the CPU of the server for that. The server has to work with this application, I/O. That's what the server does, right? And we don't want the server to do any, garbage collection on our SSD. We're doing this with the CPUs on our SSD controllers. Garbage collection. We have blocks that are only partially used. We combine the data into another block, and then we got one free. That's what we're doing in the background all the time. Wear leveling. Again, something, it's not a question if you do it. Everyone has to do wear leveling. You cannot use the SSD without wear leveling, but the question is how you do it. And I think we got the most intelligent approach. Wear leveling means the cells of an SSD have a limited lifetime. A limited lifetime in terms of how many erase cycles does it survive. Usually, as we saw, an SLC usually survives about 100,000, and then it's the end of its lifetime. And an EMLC, in the average, 30,000. So it would not make sense if you have cells within your SSD that are used 3,000 times a day and others are not used at all. So what we're doing is we're moving automatically in the background, we're moving hot data around on the SSD and making sure that all the cells are used in the same way. Also a technology that enhances the lifespan of an SSD. So these are the functionalities that we are using to ensure the steady performance, avoid the write cliff, and enhance the durability. All technology from Sandforce. What kind of products do we have in our family? Of course, first of all, we got the LSI Nitro Megarate. The Megarate is, let's say, the smallest part of our, the smallest product within our portfolio. It is an EMLC-based SSD card with an intelligent caching technology, and it got SAS ports on the card, so you can put DAS drives directly behind it. We got the Nitro Predictor. This is absolutely great. The Predictor is a technology, it's a software that we will offer to download for free for every customer who's interested. And the Predictor analyzes your applications. It analyzes the I/O profile of your applications and your servers. And it collects data. and then it analyzes your data and offers the opportunity to summarize this and make it visible in several charts. And the result of this charts and of this information, of this analysis, is it recommends the flash capacity and the kind of products that you need. So you install the predictor analyzes your environment, and it tells you need, for example, Warp Drive XD 400 gig, and it gives you a, let's say, 250% performance improvement based on your current infrastructure. And this is for free. You don't have to pay for that. I think this is very helpful because it helps you, to avoid to waste money. It gives you exactly the kind of product that you need, and it gives you exactly the kind of improvement that this product will bring for you. Okay, what else do we have? We have the Nitro Warp Drive. The Warp Drive is the SSD card that is thought to move complete applications or volumes to the card for really high performance requirements. The XD is a warp drive plus a caching technology. And the XD is, from my perception, the XD is a very, very interesting product because it is very fast and it helps you to improve the performance of existing environments dramatically, and the pricing is reasonable. And I think this is what many customers are waiting for. They don't want to change the complete environment. They have a performance issue and they want to improve the performance. They can install the predictor, and the predictor tells them what kind of product they need. Usually, if they want to improve the performance of an existing infrastructure applications, they will use a Nitro XD, and it will tell them exactly what kind of XD will they have to use and what will be the advantage. The Warp Drive. The Warp Drive, as I said, is thought to move complete applications or parts of applications, index, log files, etc., to the drive. And now look at that animation. So all the data, the writes and the reads, go directly to the Warp Drive. The next solution is the XD. And if you start with the XD product, first you got all the reads and writes still on your storage system, but the software learns, and after a few hours, more and more hot data is placed on the SSD card, and after about, it depends of course on the application, about 3, 4, 5 hours usually it takes until this product is really working 100%, and you got all the hot data in the cache on the SSD card, and you got the full performance improvement. And this works with every kind of SAN that you put behind it. We don't depend on any kind of storage. And the next one, of course, is the Nitro MegaRAID. It's also a caching solution. And you put the storage right behind the MegaRAID controller. Okay, what we're doing here is server-side caching. So we got the Nitro XD, and we got the array controllers and the storage systems behind it, and there is an intelligent two-way interaction between the SAN and the SSD card. And we got the microseconds latency, and here we got milliseconds from the SAN. Okay, let's compare the conventional deployment today with the typical SSD cache deployment. Conventional deployment means, you got your high-end servers, or let's say high-performance servers, you got high-performance network and storage systems. And compared to that, if you use a Nitro XD caching solution, you still have servers, you still have storage, but depending on the application that you use and on the environment in detail, you can use easier and less costly components, especially in the storage area. So, and the alternative is you have certain performance requirements. You can fulfill them based on a conventional configuration. You got your service, you got your storage, and you got, let's say you need 150 spindles per system, SAS spindles to fulfill the performance requirements. Or alternatively, you use a smaller, an easier, a cheaper storage system with, let's say, SATA drives and with less drives, of course, in combination with a Nitro XD cache card. And I mean, we're talking about the direct costs now, but of course there are lots of indirect costs. You know how energy consuming a storage system is. If you use 300 spindles in comparison to 50 spindles, the cost over the year and cost of in terms of cooling and energy that you save is massive. Okay, what are the target markets? I mean, this is the kind of target market that you would expect for an SSD solution, right? We're talking about the typical verticals. I mean, there are lots of customers in the financial industry who are using SSD solutions. We're having the data mining, data analysis, of course. But you know, at the end of the day, talking about Nitro XD caching solution, also Nitro Mega RAID, it is nearly every application that's based on a database. So whenever you use a database, it might be an attractive solution for you. Because it's not just, you know, the first reaction that I got in Germany during the first meeting that I had with a potential distributor was, I don't know if our partners have this kind of customers because, you know, we're not the typical high-end. And I said, you know, we're not talking about high-end. You know, it's not the typical approach of Nitro XD to fulfill the extreme I/O requirements of an extreme customer. It is an alternative architectural approach. Okay, talking about the flash adapter, the warp drive PCIe flash adapter, it's 2 times the performance of the previous generation, but more interesting, it got we have several cards starting from 200 gig up to 3.2 terabyte. And what is also very interesting, and I think this should generate some confidence from our customers regarding the lifetime of this kind of product, we already got some major OEM wins. You know, several vendors who are producing SSD technology are trying to fix OEM contracts with all the big IT vendors because obviously, you know, it's very important to have a certain number of product out in the market. But most of them are not very successful. EMC will use our product as a part of the F-cache. Oracle will use our product as a part of, I think it's called Exadata. And IBM will use our product. They will use the warp drive and also the XD. Not just as an embedded part of their own solution, but they will just resell it, you know, because they see the potential. And we have won this design against a very renowned competitor. So we will sell thousands of warp drives through our OEMs only. And this is the way that we start with this product. The announcement of IBM, I think it will be in September. Our official announcement, we're in a very early phase currently. That's the reason why I cannot give you the link to the predictor software just to test it, because we still don't have the website online. Our product will be announced between June and October. But it's already working. Okay, just a few examples of the benefits that you can achieve using XD warp drive Mega RAID. This is a comparison between a warp drive, the warp drive performance, and the performance of a very renowned competitor in the PCIe flash market. I won't say the name, but maybe you can imagine. Another comparison, so we got all the green check marks, so which means we're better. I won't go into detail. You will have the opportunity to get the presentation.
What's your definition of major OS?
Major OEM?
Major OS.
OSs. Well, the support matrix is not ready yet, but what I can guarantee is Windows, Linux, Solaris. The first start. But our approach is to have them all. To have them all means VMware, of course, AIX, and all the others. But we will be starting definitely, maybe already with VMware and AIX. I cannot say that 100%, but definitely we will start with Windows, Linux, and Solaris.
Open Solaris.
Sorry?
Does that include the Open Solaris, the EMOS?
I don't know, but I assume. I mean, we got a Cynic Center certification. I think so, but I will give you a link at the end of the presentation to a microsite that we have prepared to keep you updated on all the Nitro specific information. It gives you numerous use cases, technical information, architectural stuff, etc. And I'm quite sure you will find this kind of information also, and it always gets updated.
The question: this architecture accelerates only read operation, not write.
Right. The XD is only read. Megarate is read and write. It is only read because typically this is used in environments where high availability is a very important factor. And yeah, but I just wanted to add the information. We are working, of course, also on the writing cache, but as you can imagine, if you come up with a write cache solution, it's got to be perfect. You cannot. You cannot come up with a 50% solution. You have to have some functionalities in terms of data availability, data security, etc. And this is what we're still working on. But with the read cache at the moment, you don't have any kind of data protection issue, and still you have a huge factor of application performance in many cases. Yeah, Nitro XD. Interesting is it's really self-starting, self-configuring. You don't need any administrator overhead. There is nearly nothing you have to do. You just install it, and everything else happens more or less alone. A few examples for the improvements that you can achieve with the Nitro XD. In Oracle environments, 10 times the performance. Key benefits: you increase the number of applications, users, transactions that you can realize per server. 70% reduction in TCU. I mean, of course, let's be honest. These are marketing numbers, because I'm quite sure that there might be environments where you just got a 20% reduction in TCO, or maybe even an 80%. But it's a massive reduction in the cost that you can achieve by an architecture based on an XD technology. Megarate, also huge performance increases. Just a few examples that I wanted to show you. Am I late? No, 6 minutes, right? Okay, we're coming to the end anyway. I wanted to give you, I'm quite sure that you will not be able to read that, and there's no need because I will give you the link to the site where you can download this. But we already have some use cases in a very early phase because the technology more or less is ready. We had some early beta customers who were really interested to test our technology, and so we got some use cases. For example, a financial customer who paid a lot of money for a new data analytics tool. There was only one issue: it didn't work because based on their existing infrastructure, they have not been able to realize the performance. So they installed the warp drive technology, and they increased the performance, and they could keep the rest of the infrastructure did not have to be changed, and that was a huge benefit for the customer. Another one is this is a hosting provider. And they have been able to reduce the number of servers, and they had to reduce severely the number of storage systems and spindles that they were using based on an XD technology. And there are several use cases like that. We give you examples. What is the improvement you can expect if you use it with an Oracle or an SQL or a special kind of application? So have a look at that, the smarter way to faster. This is our microsite where you find all the information that might be interesting for you. You check it right now?
Now I'll just make a snapshot of yours.
Okay. Okay, if you got any kind of questions regarding this topic, feel free to contact me. You can contact us also through the smarter way to faster. Any information that you're looking for that you do not find on the website, we will be happy to provide. Thank you very much.